What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the channel. And folks, we got some breaking news to discuss that came out over the past couple hours at the time of recording this regarding one of the MLB's top young executives in all baseball, and how it looks like that there is a stronger chance than ever that he could find himself in a role with the Metropolitans. But before we get into it all, folks, all I ask is if you're new to the channel, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, sharing this video with your friends, on the notification bell. All those great things help us get to 20K subs for your next short-term goal, and thank you all so much in advance. But the topic of discussion is, yes, the highly desired David Stearns. We have talked about this man at length because since Steve Cohen put pen to paper as official owner of the New York Mets a couple off seasons ago, the Mets have heavily pursued this guy to be either GM or now it would be president of baseball operations of the organization. And after being denied 2 consecutive years by Brewers ownership to have discussions with Stearns, now we see here that things are about to change, as reported here that yes, David Stearns has officially stepped down as president of baseball operations for the Milwaukee Brewers. He will stay in an advisory role because he still has one more year left on his contract, but I'll be explaining shortly as to why that year means very little in his chances of still parting ways with Milwaukee. Soon after, we see here Jim Bowden of the MLB reported that yes, most executives in the MLB already feel it's inevitable that he is going to stay in that role, but not with Milwaukee, this time landing in Queens with the Mets. So a quick breakdown on David Stearns for those that don't know who he is. He's a 37-year-old top MLB executive, one of the best young-minded execs out there. He is from Manhattan, New York. If you don't know, he did grow up a diehard Mets fan, him and his family alike, and he is someone that after graduating from Harvard in the late 2000s, his first role in the MLB was part of baseball operations for, get ready for this, the New York Mets. He wasn't there too long because he quickly rose up in the MLB. Shortly after that, he would find himself in the Astros organization as their assistant GM from 2013 to 2015. Then he was hired as the youngest GM in all of baseball at the age of 30 by the Milwaukee Brewers in 2015, and then he moved up to the baseball ops role in 2019, in which he has done well in that role since now parting ways with them in that position as of today. So the question lies, can the Mets actually get something done here? Is this possible? It is now possible more than ever, folks, because as we've seen from reports, if you guys see, he already came out with his presser on MLB Network earlier today. That's kind of what I'm showing here in the highlights, even though you don't see him talking. But a couple things that David Stearns made note of is the fact that I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here in Milwaukee and help them get a smooth transition done for this position. But again, for David Stearns to drop from president of baseball ops, literally the head guy when it comes to baseball operations, to dropping into an advisory role, that means little to nothing, especially when you had Brewers GM come out today as well in his statement regarding David Stearns, saying that he will certainly be missed. We're going to miss him. That's all indications, in my opinion, at least in the opinions of many, that David Stearns leaving the Milwaukee Brewers organization prior to his contract ending next offseason is pretty much inevitable as well. So you look at the Mets here. What have they done during the season? Well, Sandy Alderson did step down as president of the New York Mets. Why did he do that in season exactly? I don't know if the Mets knew about this beforehand. Who knows? I know that things linger out there. And while David Stearns did make a note in his presser today that he's going to take time, he doesn't have a plan, according to him, on what his future is going to hold. He's going to just take time to be with his family and spending more time with his family, and of course pursuing potential other interests. What are those other interests going to be? It very well could be a role with the New York Mets, or it could also potentially be the one team that, in my opinion, could be the biggest issue for the Mets, and that is the Houston Astros, because he has familiarity with the Astros, of course, when he was assistant GM for them for a couple years, his first major role in the MLB as an executive, and then he was pried away to Milwaukee. But with the Astros having uncertainty, looking like they may not bring their GM back after this offseason, which his contract expires, it wouldn't be surprising whatsoever if they find themselves pursuing their former executive once again. So the Astros and Mets, these look like 2 teams to follow to be pursuing David Stearns, but this would be nothing short of a massive get for a New York Mets club. And I see arguments out there saying, oh, David Stearns did nothing during his couple of years as president of baseball ops. Well, yeah, it's not easy to do things, especially when you have a schmuck of an owner in Milwaukee that can't go past a certain threshold of money every single year. I mean, what he did in his 4-year span as GM for them was huge, getting them to playoffs consecutive years with him as GM. Nothing to slouch at whatsoever. And now David Stearns, again, he wants to focus on his family, pursue other interests. His family's from New York. They're all diehard Mets fans. He's a diehard Mets fan. That's why this connection has been going on for as soon as Steve Cohen became owner of this club. And that is exactly why the Mets have certainly not been happy with their pursuits of president baseball operations in year 1 of the Mets offseason a couple years ago under Steve Cohen. They weren't able to land a Pobo because no one was giving them access to talk to their executives. And it started with the Brewers because they heavily pursued David Stearns in year 1. Last year in year 2, the Mets did the exact same thing and they were denied once more. So with him under contract, the only thing that we could potentially see happen is that the Mets would have to give up some form of compensation to acquire David Stearns to hire him in that same role as president of baseball operations, because I don't imagine it would be anything else. He has a connection as well with Billy Epler from the past, so I'd imagine that in this hypothetical, you're going to have Billy Epler as your GM, and then you're going to have David Stearns as your president of baseball operations, something that the Mets have been wanting for quite a bit now. So what type of compensation would that be? I don't imagine it would be much, because Stearns already made note in his presser earlier today that yes, he has already had internal discussions with Brewers owner on if a team potentially pursues him for that same role or a different role. It seems like they're under the same understanding now that yes, he's likely going to be parted with. It's just a matter of when versus if at all. And Stearns, one more thing that he made note that I thought was very interesting from his presser today is the following, and I quote, "This is a job that requires complete and total commitment. When I began to hesitate about whether I could make that commitment, I knew it was really time to contemplate a change." I mean, the fact that Stearns, in one of the bigger roles in all baseball for an organization, really wasn't even fully committed to this role early on into being president of baseball operations tells you that yes, he clearly has his eyes set on somewhere else. I don't think that this is a situation where David Stearns is going to be away from baseball for a year or anything of that nature. I fully expect him to be working in a front office in baseball as soon as maybe this offseason, and that very well could be with the Mets or with the Astros. So that being said, Mets fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below about David Stearns potentially coming to the New York Mets as your new president of baseball operations. Is this a move that you would like to see the way that I surely hope to? Again, a young, like-minded guy that can come in right away, have an impact. He's done a great job with the Astros. He did a great job as GM, especially with the Milwaukee Brewers. Just imagine what this guy could do with the endless payroll that Steve Cohen is able to provide for you. Mets having more great minds on this organization is definitely needed, in my opinion. Billy Epler has done a solid job, but everyone gripes about what he did at the trade deadline or lack thereof. Bringing in a mind like David Stearns can truly take them over the top and give them as much great player evaluation and decision making as humanly possible. So folks, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And again, if you found yourself enjoying this kind of Mets content and you want to see more great Mets content like this, don't hesitate from smashing that like and subscribe button, sharing this video with your friends, on the notification bell, all those great things. Thank you guys all so much for the continued support. More great Mets content coming out all off season, a lot of stuff as soon as the off season begins, especially. Make sure to check out previous videos and podcasts, all that fun stuff. And I'll talk to you guys again real soon. Let's go Mets, baby.